mental. So thank you so much for your patience. Connecting with Rennie. Hey, Rennie.
Hello, how are
How
you?
are you? I'm well. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. It's so nice to be
Awesome.
here. Thank you for sharing my story. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing your story. It's a pleasure to have you here. Rennie,
Thank
where are you
you.
calling us from tonight?
I am from New Jersey. Yep,
Ah, okay, the Garden State.
the Garden State. Yep, loud and proud.
I was there for Christmas this year and I had a really lovely time. So I'm quite fond of New Jersey.
Many people aren't, so.
Um,
Yeah,
so
I'm a
Rennie,
Jersey girl.
I'll start by asking you the same question I asked Melody, which is why did you want to share your story as part of this campaign?
So, really important to me. I'm a patient advocate. I have been advocating since I was diagnosed and before even. I was diagnosed in 2003. I've been living with MS since probably the early 90s. I can think back to like 1991. So, I wanted and I was a high school teacher at the time that I was diagnosed. And so I went completely public with everything because I felt a responsibility to educate not just my students, but my colleagues, my peers, the community that I worked in. And I think that everybody, for the years that I was still working, they knew all about MS, and it was my responsibility to share with them that, part of being a teacher isn't just what you can get from the textbooks. And so I like to think, and I'm in touch with many, many, many of my former students still, especially when, they have medical challenges. They just reach out to me, and
Oh, Rennie, I seem to have lost you. Um, oh, are you still there? I can't hear you, unfortunately. Sorry about this, folks. Facebook is always a little bit glitchier than Instagram Live, but hopefully, Rennie, can you hear me? I can't hear Rennie, unfortunately. And she's a little frozen. We'll just give it a few more seconds, folks. And okay, so Rennie can hear me. I can't hear Rennie. No, I'm sorry about that. Do you want to try without the headphones? Um, yeah, I can't hear anything. I'm so sorry. You can hear me though, right? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Um, what I'm going to propose is maybe Rennie will take you off the live and we'll bring you back on. Maybe that will work. So I might just put that in the chat so that Rennie can see it and bring you back. Autocorrect wants to say bring you neck. Bring you. All right, so I will bring you back in just 1 second, Rennie. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Um, it's like live TV. Now they have a delay on live TV. I think we all know why that is, but we don't have that feature on Facebook Live or Instagram Live just yet. So you're here, you're seeing it all live. You know, it's very authentic. And just thank you again so much for your patience. I'm really hoping that we can bring Rennie back. In the meantime, I will say that her story is day 14 in our 31 Days of MS campaign. So if you haven't had a chance to check it out, go check it out, go read her story. She does talk a little bit about her early days, her diagnosis, and how MS has affected her life, which I really hope that we can talk to her more about live on Facebook. And then again, of course, Melody's story is day 15, so they're right next to each other in the campaign. The campaign is still going strong. It's only March 24th, so we still have about a week left of stories. So definitely check them out. And if you're interested in telling your story, we tell them or we share them all year long on our Facebook pages. So if that is something that you're interested in doing, please feel free to send us a message on Facebook or on Instagram. Let us know you'd like to share your story, and we will follow up with you and provide you with more information on how to do that. I'd also like to just mention that if you're looking for community online, you're looking for other people with MS or other caregivers, other family members, we also have our forums. So let's bring Rennie on. She's back. This is great. So yeah, our forums, multiplesclerosisnewstoday.com/forum. So be sure to check those out if you're interested in an online community all about the MS community. So just waiting for Rennie to connect. Oh, hi, Rennie.
Hello.
I'm so sorry about that, Rennie. Technology is not our friend.
Okay. It happens.
Oh, okay, great. So now there's a bit of a delay, but I can hear you. So I'll just try to pause before I accidentally interrupt. Um, so Rennie, you were talking about how after you were diagnosed, it was important to you to educate your students and your fellow teachers about MS, and you've actually had former students get in touch with you. So why have they been getting in touch with you? I think that's where we lost you.
Um, well, a lot of them have been in touch with me the entire time. I retired on disability in 2013. Actually, my official date is like May 1st, 2014, but I went out on September 27th, 2013, and I never went back. And I wasn't ready to leave. I loved my job. I was good at it. I loved my kids. I loved the community. I just, there was nothing I didn't love about it, and I would never have left. It started off just as a short, like 2 week get treatment and go back. And then, I wasn't ambulating well. I had some cognitive issues. I had issues with my hands. It was a very bad relapse. And I just wasn't progressing the way that I needed to in order to be able to go back to school that year. So he put me out till the end of the year. And I was fully intending to go back the following September, but there came a point where I wasn't progressing as I should. And being a teacher is such a tough job, and it takes so much heart, so much energy, so much time. So it's never ending. You don't get to leave at the end of the day and have a sense of everything's done, and you take the emotional baggage also with you because you become attached. I was a high school teacher, so the kids are they look sometimes for role models that they might not have. My classroom was a safe haven. It was a place where I was always there from 6 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. They knew that they could come, they could do their homework, they could hang out, they could just chat, even if they weren't my kid. They just gravitated towards my classroom. And so when I had to make the decision, like, I can't do this job the way it deserves to be done, it broke my heart and I lost my identity for a while. But now I have so many of these amazing people in my life, like, and they just keep popping up. And it seems to happen when they have medical challenges. They reach out to me, and I've been to doctor's appointments with my students. I've taken them to the ER. I've been like their mom in this circumstance. Some of them didn't have parents that spoke English, so they would take me so that I could, and they would say, she's a close family friend. She's my advocate. I taught them that. Like, this is what you have to say. So they'll allow me with you, you know? I've even been in the ER with a student and the mother. And when the student was asked who he wanted in the room, he wanted me in the room, not the mother. So it's just a special bond. And I think it's important to educate students that they need to pay attention to their bodies. They need to know what feels right and what feels wrong. And they need to learn how to speak to people who are in a position of authority. They need to learn how to ask the right questions so that they can get the right answers and not be seen as, because a lot of times when I'm not with them, they get brushed aside, especially the ones that might be Hispanic in origin. So I've been advocating, I've been a patient advocate speaker, I've been a keynote speaker. I spoke at the MS Society's National Conference one year in Dallas. I mean, it's just in my nature, I think, as a teacher to want to share my story, to reach more people. That's why I have a public Instagram so that people can connect with me if they want to. There's not much that I wouldn't do for anybody. I've also been with total strangers and taken them to their independent medical exam for their Social Security disability. You know, it's just in my nature to do that.
Wow, that's awesome. And I wanted to ask you, because patient advocate to me is a relatively new term. It's certainly not a term I was familiar with when I was in high school. So, where did you learn that term? And have you always been able to advocate for yourself, or did someone else teach you that skill?
You know, that's a great question. And to be honest, I've been using the word for so long that to me it's not a new word. Um, Advocacy, it's something that I tried to teach my students so that they could go into the world with real life skills. Like, do they remember the textbook Spanish that I taught them for 2 years or 3 years, however long I had them? No, no. But they remember that I showed up every day, had a smile on my face, that I lived through chronic illness, that I was always willing to help, that I raised money for a cause, I got them involved in a cause, that I cared with my heart, that I respected them, and so I have always been. I think that when I first got involved with advocacy, it had to do with my presence with the MS Society at the time. It's changed a lot since then. But like I would do a lot of new patient programs. I would do all kinds of things for them, in addition to raising a lot of money with a very large Walk MS team that I ran for 8 years, and I ran it as a club in my school. So it was like a way of life in our school community. And nobody taught me. I'm just a strong woman and I don't take no for an answer. And if I don't get the answers, and by the way, when I was diagnosed, the internet wasn't what it was. You couldn't just go to some website. It was way different. So, like I actually went to physical where I heard doctors speak, and I went and I heard a million different neurologists speak all over the state. My husband and I went to every single program we could find. Every single time there was a neurologist speaking, particularly an MS specialist, we would go. And that's how I started my education with MS. And that's, you know, when I wasn't getting anywhere, when I was first diagnosed with a general neurologist, I said, you know what, this isn't good enough. I need an MS specialist. And I went to an MS specialist. It was with him for about 17 years, 16, 17 years. When he wasn't serving me anymore, I said, time to leave because he's not serving me the way I want to be served anymore. I'm moving on to bigger and better. And that's what I did. And that's how I am. And that's what I teach them to do too.
Wow, that's awesome. It's very inspiring to hear a woman speak with such certainty because I think so many women, especially, struggle with confidence, especially in a doctor's office, it's so easy for women's concerns to be brushed aside, ignored, diminished. So thank you for sharing that that has not been your experience and that's how you got the help that you needed. So you spoke about how leaving teaching was very hard. It sounds like you probably grieved that loss quite a lot. It sounds like you're very passionate about that. Um, so what did you do next to kind of heal emotionally from that, to fill your time and to give yourself a new purpose?
Well, I was still rehabbing, so I spent a lot of time moving. I don't like to use the word exercise anymore. I use the word movement. I feel like there's a stigma with the word exercise, and when people hear, they're like, especially MS patients, if they're maybe they're wheelchair bound or they use a walker, they hear the word exercise, it's like, well, I can't do that. But when you say movement, it's a whole different world. The first thing that I did was I learned how to meditate. My husband and I took a course to learn how to do transcendental meditation, and we've been practicing that since 2014. And I also use mindfulness, and I use the apps Calm, and I use Headspace. I have them all. You know, I have the paid subscriptions to all of them. I use mala beads to meditate. And then I discovered yoga. And yoga, at first I didn't like it. It's all about the instructor. I found the right instructor, and then I fell in love. And I just threw myself into yoga because I found that it improved so much of the issues that MS causes: balance, for one, strength, flexibility, spasticity, stiffness. All of these things can be addressed by moving your body. So then once I had started, I was given a scholarship at a local yoga studio. And so I just started taking as many classes as I could, and just like really just diving into the world of yoga, which is a moving meditation, so it fit perfectly into my already, like, I was meditating. And also, by the way, I think therapy is very important for me. Having a good therapist is also very important. Depression is a symptom of MS. It's not just that you're sad that you have MS. It's caused by a lesion in a particular area of the brain. And so it is an actual symptom. Um, but then after I'd been practicing yoga for a little bit, my teacher was doing a teacher training for yoga for yoga teacher training. And I went up to her one day and I said, "Did you ever have a student like me who looks like me take one of your yoga teacher trainings?" And she didn't understand. She was like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm not exactly like, I don't have a yoga body, like I'm bigger. I have all these complications because in addition to MS, this is another point that I wanted to make. Just because you have MS, it doesn't preclude you from getting other illnesses. And so it's important, even having MS, to pay attention really closely to your body, because I'm also a breast cancer survivor and I am a diabetic. So it's really important to understand your body, but that's a side note. So I have all these complications. I also have a fused spine. There's like a million things. Like, I just swim in a very shallow gene pool. So so she didn't understand what I meant to say. So she said, instead of saying, "No, I never had anybody like you," she started to list all the reasons why I should complete a teacher training and be a yoga instructor. And since then, I've done over 500 hours of training um, in yoga, all different kinds of yoga. And I practice every single day. I teach. I donate my services. I was working at a studio before COVID, and I taught for free there, as long as she would donate to the scholarship fund where I was given the scholarship from. That was what I required. And when I'm ready, I'm not quite ready to go back into a studio yet. when I do, it will be the same situation. I never want to earn money from sharing yoga because, Melody was saying about lifestyle. I agree with that 100%. And incorporating something like meditation and yoga. Okay, nutrition is also very important. I'm not on the Walls protocol, but I am very, as a diabetic, very, very careful with my diet. But I also feel that yoga and meditation go hand in hand and can work miracles. Just having the body, mind, spirit connection. And it's so my new purpose, since I since I lost my purpose as a teacher, I'm still a teacher. So I share my yoga. I'm doing a fundraiser in a couple of weeks where I volunteer. I'll volunteer also. I don't just sit home and not do anything. I volunteer at a sanctuary for senior dogs, and I'm doing
Oh,
a fundraiser on the grounds. I did a virtual one during COVID, and I want to do one on the grounds because they're so beautiful. So we're going to do that. Hopefully the weather cooperates. We have a rain date just in case, but um and I don't, I never ever ever teach for money. I just don't do it. Like if you want to donate to my cause, donate, but I'm not going to take money. And I think it turns people off because I was approached to teach a trauma informed yoga class for a um an addiction rehabilitation program. We have great hospitals in New Brunswick that border here, Robert Wood Johnson and St. Peter's. I think Robert Wood Johnson is probably known nationwide. But they wanted me to teach there. She was writing a grant for this yoga. And when she asked what I would charge, I said, I don't charge. And she was like, what do you mean you don't charge? And I'm like, no, I don't charge for teaching yoga. I don't. I can't. I don't want to. It's a passion. I want to share it with other people. I feel awkward taking money for doing that. If I can inspire somebody to get on a mat or in a chair, because I teach chair yoga too, just to move and feel what it feels like, get the endorphins flowing, and how much it can help that stiffness and spasticity that come along with MS. Because I've seen too many of my friends decline during the lockdown period because they weren't moving. Me, I was taking like 5 yoga classes and meditating 6 times a day. It's the only way that I could get through the day, you know? But, when you don't move, especially with MS, if you're not moving it, you're going to lose it. It's so important to just keep moving, even if it's small movements. Every little movement helps.
yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. This has been a wonderful conversation, and I mean, you're right. There's so much more we could talk about in terms of your other conditions that you live with, diabetes, and you said you're a breast cancer survivor. So really, folks, I encourage you to go read Rennie's story. Sounds like you've got a lot more out there on the internet as an advocate, but we are coming to the end of our time together. So I just wanted to ask you before we sign off, is there any other message that you want to leave with our audience this evening? Anything else you'd like to tell them?
Well, I think that you need to have the right attitude. Hope is what Melody was saying. What I say is that you play the hand that you were dealt like it's the one you wanted. And that's my message. And you do it with a smile on your face. Every single hardship leads to a lesson learned, and those lessons are invaluable. You might not know what they are right when you're going through them. That I know what was when cancer happened. I did not. But in hindsight, I know what my lessons were. And the lessons that you learn when you go through hardship and adversity are so very powerful and life affirming that it's the only way that I know how to live. And if you want to live a happy life, then you just got to play that hand like it's the one you wanted.
Thank you so much, Rennie. That's a great quote that I'm going to carry with me for a long time. So thank you for sharing that. And just thank you so much for sharing your story. Again, folks, it's day 14 on our website. I'll throw the link up one more time. And Rennie, thank you for your time. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you so much for having me. I so enjoyed talking to you.
Take care. Bye. All right, folks, thank you again so much for being here. And thank you again to Melody and to Rennie for joining me on Facebook Live tonight. Really go check out their stories, learn more about them. I don't know about you, but I feel very inspired, very uplifted. I know that's not necessarily true for every story or every day with MS, but I hope that, you know, the interviews tonight did give you a bright light that you can carry with you for the rest of this evening. Just going to put the link up one more time so that if you're interested in reading more stories from the campaign, there are 31 in total. More are coming through the end of the month. 31 days, 31 stories from people with MS, their friends and family, researchers, medical professionals, patient advocates, the whole gamut. Please go to our website, use that link right there, and check out the stories. And again, if you're interested in sharing your story, either for next year's campaign or as something that we're doing on social media, please send us a direct message. We would love to chat with you. And last but not least, if you're looking for more community to talk to other folks who can, you know, relate to what you're going through, who you can ask questions of, share resources, all that good stuff, be sure to check out our forums at multiplesclerosisnewstoday.com/forums. Very active forum community. We have some great social media moderators in there. So definitely encourage you to check those forums out. So with that, I will say good evening. Thank you again for being here. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care.